Thank you very much for joining today's talk. Today, I will continue to share the next 3 Bodhisattva. And again, there are 4 Bodhisattvas belongs to advanced practice. And we have finished Bodhisattva of Universal Vision, Bodhisattva of Vajraghara, and Bodhisattva of Maitreya. These 3 Bodhisattvas ask the question for all the advanced practitioners regarding their concept and the method, how to achieve the complete enlightenment. And then the next Bodhisattva, pure wisdom, he continued to ask, if we follow Buddha's teaching, and then, what kinds of different levels of attainment we can get. And that's all the practitioners are concerned about. Everyone during, through practice, people would like to know, what level am I? I'm at, and seems very important to see that we make progress. So the question is very simple. What are the differences in the actualization and attainment between all sentient beings, Bodhisattva, and the more honored one? So from ordinary people level to the Buddha's levels, what different levels that we can achieve? So the Buddha, knows that it's a long path. Most of us cannot achieve to the ultimate goals, right away or in a very short period of time. So during this long process, sometimes we get lost and sometimes we lose faith. So it's very important to know that, at least we are making progress on the right path. But for this question, Buddha's first explain, there is neither attainment nor actualization. In absolute reality, there are indeed no bodhisattva or sentient beings. Again, Buddhas point out the true reality, what the true reality is in the beginning, before he explained all the expedient methods. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote a preface for this Sutra's book, The Complete Enlightenment, saying that, if we are in New York, we want to go to Boston, then we have to turn north, right? We New York to Boston, turn north. Then once you turn to north, then Boston is with you. Okay, so even though you are not there, but Boston is on your path. It's a destination. So this kind of concept is the same for Buddha. Every time, no matter what kind of question that Bodhisattva asks, always identify the destination first. Like us, no matter we go to Boston by plane, driving or walk or bicycling, no matter what kind of method we use to get to Boston, we always need to remind us, your destination is Boston, go to north. And so the same way Buddha say, in reality, you can have all kinds of questions, but in reality, there is no attainment, no actualization. And just like, when we see things, why Buddha said that there's actually no bodhisattva and nor sentient beings. So Buddha used an analogy saying that when our eyes see things, all different things in front of us, and actually they are all equal in essence. Okay, so when we see Bodhisattva, sentient beings, good people, bad people, through an observer, then we have a duality, like I'm watching this, okay? So if we have this concept of duality, then through our practice, then we will have a concept of so-called attainer or actualizer that achieve different levels of attainment that maybe, like the sage, the saint, the bodhisattva level 1, level 2, level 3, and all that kind of levels come from the attachment of the self as an attainer or actualizer. So Buddha said that in reality, in a true reality, that there is no such kind of things. So when there is no so-called attainer or actualizer that we call self, then whatever we see, bodhisattvas or sentient beings, they are all equal. Okay, that's the first point Buddha tried to point out. And then secondly, Buddha said that yet we are not there yet. All sentient beings since beginning of time have deludedly conceived self and which grasp onto the self. So we have a concept of self and we grasp on it. And so we never know that our thought is arise and perish continuously. So our existence is actually the continual grasping of the thought. And so therefore, us give rise to love and hatred from without. We grasp this, we like this, we hate this. That we talk about that in Bodhisattva material chapter. So that's why we, always love and hate, and then we generate grasping desire, try to take what we want and try to throw away what we don't want, and then indulge in the 5 desires through our 6 organs. Okay, we attach to the mundane material, try to obtain or try to own the things outside. Okay, and then therefore we generate a lot of vexations and suffering. So the first level, now Buddha continues. We are all sentient beings with lots of vexation and sufferings. If we meet a genuine teacher who can teach us genuine Dharma to the complete enlightenment, and the first level of attainment, Buddha said that for ordinary beings, we call it the 10 sages of faith. The first, when we meet a teacher, then through practice, we will realize, every thought, the arising and perishing of the thought. Then we can recognize the worrisome nature of life. So once we can observe the arising and perishing of the thoughts, and we will understand, our mind is always grasping the worrisome. So we worry this, we worry that, and then we have fear. And then we have all kinds of, mental activity. And that become our whole life. Our whole life are doing these things, following the thoughts, worrisome thoughts, and we have a worrisome life. And if next we can permanently sever all worrisome thinking, then next we will realize the Dharma Dhatu in its purity. That means the whole existence, the Dharma Dhatu means the whole existence is actually originally pure. If we can permanently sever all worrisome thinking, let the mind calm down, not worry anymore. So this is already very difficult achievement, but that Buddha said that, okay, this is called the attainment of ordinary beings, and it's on the 10 stages of faith. But the problem now for this level is that the understanding of purity becomes the obstructions of attaining the complete enlightenment from within. Okay, we can stop ourselves grasping all the worrisome thinkings without. But now we think that the Dharma Dhatu, the world is pure. Still, this understanding become our attachment, and we cannot see the true self within. So a lot of practitioners, especially senior practitioners or advanced practitioners, they can, during the retreat, they can easily get into a very calm and settled state, feel very good and feel very comfortable, and feel like purity. They can sit for a very long time. And so when they go home, they try to avoid people. They want to go to the mountain and practice by themselves. That's the attachment to the purity of the mind, the so-called purity of the mind. But once we have the concept of purity, this is not the true reality, because you still have the concept of purity. Then there is something that is not pure, right? So if further we can continue our practice and then realize that the understanding of purity is also an obstacle, and then we can eliminate the obstacle of understanding and abide in the state of so-called realization. And then we get to the second level, so-called the attainment of Bodhisattva before the mooning. Okay, that belongs to the 10 stages of abiding, 10 stages of practice, and the 10 stages of transference. So this is a long path that try to sever the attachment to the so-called purity. But now the problem is when we can detach the purity, the phenomena or the concept of purity, but there is still attachment to the view of realization or the view of enlightenment. And because who get rid of the purity? Who is realized? This kind of view is also another level of self-attachment and become an obstacle of attaining the complete enlightenment. Okay, so here the level 2, our Shifu Master Sheng Yan give a Gong'an to explain, what the level 2 is. So there is a practitioner, hired a practitioner, encounter a master and ask the master saying, if when there is a 1 billion of lions standing on 1 billion of hair, what will you say when you see it? So the master just turned away and not reply anything. And so then later on, when the master stand next to his master, the grandmaster, then this practitioner come again and ask the same questions. Then the master saying, okay, you see 1 billion lion standing on 1 billion of hair. Where does the lion stand? You know, there's a hair and lion stand. This is also very advanced level. So the practitioners say, okay, the lion stand neither in front of the hair nor in the back of the hair, not on the right side, left side, not on the right side of the hair. Then upon hearing this, the master just walk away. And the grandmaster sitting there and just laughing and say, oops, all your lions are cut in half. So that means this practitioner still have the duality. He thinks that he detached from the extreme, you know, left and right and before and after, but he's still attached to the middle way. So this is also the view of the middle way. So the grandmaster just say, your lines are all cut in half. You still in duality. You still have the people who see things. You know, it's already, phenomenal that you practice it. You can see the big lion stand on the tiny thin hairs, but still you have the attachment to the view of middle way or the view of realization. So you are still, you're not still there yet. Okay, that's the second level. And the third levels that Buddha explains is the attainment of Bodhisattva on the Muni. On Muni means those practitioners are on the 10 stages of Muni. And for this level of Bodhisattva, we should call them Bodhisattva right now, that they realize that the existence of illuminating an object and someone realize it are both obstacles. And then they can remain in enlightened state without abidance to the duality. And so it's non-abiding. And then they can further extinguish the illumination and the illuminator at the same time. So the duality of subjectivity and objectivities are disappear at the same time. And so in the sutra, Buddha used an analogies to explain this process. It's like, someone behaves oneself. So I am the one cutting my head. So my head is my object and I am doing it. I am the subject. So the subjectivity is cutting the objectivity. And so they disappear all at once. That's the practice at this level. But still, they are not get to the final stage to see the Buddha nature yet. Because this is a dramatic step that when the Bodhisattva on the moon levels, their practice is to eliminate the subjectivity and objectivity. In other words, through help sentient beings, they need to let go of the attachment that there are sentient beings need my help, okay, need Bodhisattva's help. And this is a very difficult stage that, you know, when you are trying to help someone, you know, it's easy that you enter into samadhi and in your mind, you know, stop functioning. But then how can you still have the function to help people according to what they need? And then you are not attached to subjectivity and objectivity. At the same time, your mind is not abiding. It's no abiding to anything. This is the attainment of Bodhisattva on the moon. Okay, now, sorry, on your left, that we hear Buddha's teaching. And Buddha say that there is a Dharma, there is a method, and then finally we know that, oh, we should not grasp the things outside. You know, we should practice inside. But the purpose of Buddha's teaching is to point the moon. So all the teachings that Buddha tried to consolidate is to grasp attention for all the practitioners to see the fingers, concentrate on this. And then he pointed to the moon and saying that, look at the moon, look at the moon. But a lot of practitioners will attach to the fingers. So now, it doesn't matter, you know, the finger, you know, what kind of fingers they are, but they point to the moon. So we have to let go, we let go of the mundane desires and grasping and try to focus on Buddha's teaching. And then Buddha used this analogy, fingers, try to concentrate on mind, try to consolidate our minds. And then later he pointed to the moon and tell us that, look at the moon and don't attach to the fingers. Once we see the moon, then we realize that on your right, it's a beautiful scenery under the full moon. Once we see the moon, we suddenly realize that what we see, what we can see are all from the moon because of the moonlight. The moon represents all our Buddha nature, the Buddha nature, and the Buddha nature has a function to manifest everything. And when we can see the moon, we don't need to look at the moon anymore, because we suddenly realized we will use the different mindset to look at this mundane world, that everything has the nature because of has the nature of the moonlight. And so upon seeing the moon, we see this same world in a different way. That everything exists because the moon exists. Okay. And so we originally we found that things exist because we think they are all different things. Once we see the moon, we know that things exist because the moon exists. And we see the common things among all the existence from the differences of all the existence. Everything still looks different through the moonlight. Once we see the moon, and the moonlight shine on everything, we realize the common things of all the existence. Okay, but that's still an analogy. So in other words, Buddha said that once we see our Buddha nature, we will realize that all the existence in the Dharma Dhatu are from the same essence. And at the same time, they can manifest in different form under different conditions. Okay, finally, Buddha said that the attainment of Tathagata is like when Buddha see this Dharma Dhatu, that all obstacles are no different from ultimate enlightenment. No matter you have mindfulness or not, they are the same as liberation. Wisdom and ignorance are equally prajna. Sila, samadhi, prajna that we encourage people to practice, and the greed, hatred, ignorance that we encourage people to let go are all pure actions at this level. Hells and heavens are all pure lands. All sentient beings with different capacities have originally accomplished the Buddha path. That's Buddha's level. So in other words, when we see our Buddha nature, when we achieve the so-called complete enlightenment, you see things have no differences. It's not indifferences. It's they are equally exist with the same essence, even though they manifest in different way. Okay, so this is very we cannot understand it through logical thinking or analysis or philosophical analysis. This is a direct experience, the direct enlightenment of the Buddha. So that's why when Buddha entered this, entered this mundane world, they don't judge. They treat everything equally. At the same time, they have the function to respond. So Buddha conclude this chapter. It's very important. These verses, I heard our master explain frequently for the practitioners in the retreat, and he even asked us to recite these verses many times. Buddha conclude that, you know, for the practitioners, if you want to directly in accordance with the complete enlightenment, that's what we need to practice. Desist from giving rise to deluded thoughts all the time. When we encounter something, anything, don't give rise to deluded thought of craving, hatred, ignorance, jealousy, and doubt, and all that mental activity and vexations. First that. Secondly, do not strive to extinguish the illusory mind that generates thoughts. Okay, the thought come up. And you see the thought come back, but you also see, you know, when you go deeper, you see the mind that generates the thought, still have the self-concept. And that mind, we call it illusory, because this mind is also the consequences of the 6 organs that interact with the 6 objects. And the mind is constantly change. So don't strive to extinguish, you know, the mind. And nextly, do not make discriminations amidst illusory existence. That's what we call direct perceptions. So we still exist in this mundane world. We still use our 6 organs to perceive this mundane world. But please, to perceive the existence as it is. Don't twist it, don't interpret it, don't use our vexation to generate more illusory thought. That's even deeper. And then lastly, do not see the true reality within non-discriminated mind. So once we can get to the 3rd sentence, that your 6 organs always perceive this world directly without the second thought. At this time, your mind is very subtle and pure, relative, very pure and calm. At this moment, don't generate this thought that you try to seek the true reality, because the true reality is always in you. So that's the basically 4 steps for all the practitioners who want to follow the so-called silent practice or the direct practice to the complete enlightenment. Okay, that's also what we do in the retreat. Now, so I use the same paradigms that we are here, ordinary people, and when we get a lot of vexation and grasping, then we get on to practice, onto the path, and we get to the first attainment for the 10 stages of faith, and then we will not grasp things outside. And when we further go to the stage levels, and then we continue our practice through the 10 stages of abiding, practice, and transference. Then at this point, we try to eliminate the attachment to the subjective view. Okay. And then further, when we get to the sense level, we are on the 10 moonings. The 3rd level, we eliminate the subjectivity and objectivity, the illuminator and illumination at the same time. And finally, we get to the ultimate level, the Buddha's level, that, make no discrimination among the things that we try to avoid or detach. That's the answer for the Bodhisattva's pure wisdoms. And next, I will speed up. We get to the specific contemplation that for intermediate practice here. There are 4 Bodhisattva asked questions for intermediate practice. And obviously, the direct southern path is not for everyone. And then so Bodhisattva at ease, oops, typo, majestic virtue, and the Bodhisattva sound discernment ask specific method for us, too direct. You have nothing to hold on to. How to practice just because of the right view. And for most of us, it's really hard to do it. So in this section for intermediate practices, the Bodhisattva at ease in majestic virtue ask the practices of the 3 major contemplations for us. And the Bodhisattva sound discernment asks how to apply these 3 contemplations. Depends on different capacity or situations of the practitioners. So the question is also very obvious. What are all the expedient methods and stages, and what types of practitioners are there? And Buddha says that, again, point to Boston again, okay? Yeah, I'm trying to, you ask about the method, expedient method for different people, but all the things, the unsurpassed wanderings enlightenment has already manifest in the 10 directions of the existence that include the Tathagata and all Dharmas. The Tathagatas and all Dharmas in the 10 directions are manifested from the unsurpassed wanderings enlightenment, and they all have equal essence. Okay. And the second point is, if I really want to explain the method to see this unsurpassed wondrous enlightenment, there are 3 types. All these 3 types point to the same direction. It's like you turn north from New York, you want to go to Boston, you can use car, you can take flight, you can use bicycle, you can walk, but all these methods turn to your destiny. They are equally important. A lot of practitioners will say, which method should I use? Which is better, which is faster? Once we have this kind of concept, then no matter what method we used, we cannot practice in the right way, because you judge the method in the beginning. So that method, you lose the faith of that method. So it's really, any method will be really hard for you to hold on to all the way from the ascension beings to the Buddha path, Buddhahood. Because later we will explain there are so many obstacles, difficulty that we will encounter along the path. Okay, now Buddha explained this first. They are all in equal essence, and all the methods are equally point to the same direction. Then if Buddha said that if I really want to conclude the method, there are really 3 types of practice. It's called samatha, samabadi, and dhyana. And in this chapter, Buddha mainly explained these 3 types of methods. And as you can find, if you practice different methods, you will find that if it's Buddhist practice, any method developed through these 3 aspects, when you go to different levels of practice, Buddha said that samatha, the practice of samatha is like you come and steer your mind like a mirror. And samabhati is like seeds sprouting from soil. And dhyana is like the sounds from instruments. First, please bear with me, because when we talk about the method, we have to explain in more details to keep the essence of the method so that you won't misunderstand the method. Every method that Buddha tried to explain, the first sentence, he will always remind everyone that all the methods are relies on the pure complete enlightenment as the causal ground. Please remember your destination first before you use any method. Secondly, when we practice samatha, we use our pure awareness to focus on calmness and quiescence. In other words, the so-called pure awareness is not a deluded mind. Okay? Don't use your scattered mind. Try to focus on the calmness and quiescence. So first of all, we need to keep our awareness relatively pure, not so much wandering thoughts, and focus our mind. And then next, when all thoughts are clear, one will realize the constant agitation of consciousness and further develop the wisdom of stillness. In other words, when we practice any method, we concentrate enough so that we have very few wandering thoughts. The mind is transparent and clear. Only at this point, we can see the subtle consciousness, which are in the constantly agitation status. So most of the time in the daily life, things we have so much wandering thoughts, so much thought. Thought is very coarse state of mind activity. When our cross mind activity got clear, then we will see subtle mind activity. We call it consciousness. And you find that the consciousness here, mainly to the sixth consciousness, are ever changing all the time. Responding to within and without all the time. When we can see that, then we can further develop wisdom of stillness, call that, how we can purify our sixth consciousness. That we can try to know the wisdom that how the consciousness bring us the illusory view of this mundane world. And next, when the body, mind, and environment, body, consciousness, and environment extinguish permanently, then one will experience the tranquility of lightness and ease. The tranquility, it's hard to explain, but lightness means you have no burden at all from worrisome thought. Your body feels light, your mind's light, no burden. And ease, it means very calm and be relaxed, fully relaxed and calm and still. Body and mind and the environment that we perceive are all in the tranquility of lightness and ease. That's the practice of samatha. So good, right? So based on these tranquilities, all Tathagatas minds in the 10 directions will manifest, like the image reflect in the mirror. When we say mirror, means they are perfectly flat and clean. That's why they can perfectly reflect what's in front of the mirror, right? That's the Tathagata on your right. But if our mind, the mirror, is twisted, dirty, and illusory, what we see from the mirror or the mind will like what you see in the left. If you are in the realm of animal, you will see your animal. When you are in the hungry ghost realm, you will see yourself through your mind as a hungry ghost. The 10 realms, you will see you as such through your illusory mind, but not the true you. Only the Tathagatas with the perfect, clean, still, not moving mind can see the true self. Okay. That's the practice. And then Sifu explained that samatha is a sequential practice to cultivate wisdom from stealing the mind. So basically the process is like, from the scattered mind to still mind and unified mind and no mind. And the no mind means the pure, clear, and mind without vexation. Then that equal to Buddha's mind. Practice of samatha, all the methods need this foundation of practice. The next step is more advanced for samadhi. So this samadhi, you need to have a foundation of samatha practice. So it means at this point, the mind is very still and calm. Then you can practice samadhi. If not, then you have to go back to samatha. And again, Buddha pointed out, rely on the pure complete enlightenment as the cause of ground. And then with pure enlightened mind, one knows that the conscious mind and faculties and objects are all illusory projections. You can already see that the so-called the 3 aspects of consciousness, faculty, and objects. They exist because the 3 are interacting with each other. That's why the 3 aspects exist. They are all illusory. The next, even though we want to let go of the illusory view, but then the practice of samatha is to use illusory mind to illuminate all illusory projection. At the same time, manipulate various illusory methods. It's like superpower, super knowledge. That the magic is illusory, but you can now use your magic power to show some magic in order to instruct illusory sentient beings how to get out of the dream. Okay, and then next, from this illusory manipulation, the magics, Bodhisattva generate the great compassionate lightness and ease within. Now this lightness and ease are not from the tranquility. They are from the great compassion. Because Right now, Bodhisattva need to help. They cultivate the stages of cultivation right now to the Buddha path. Buddhahood is through helping sentient beings from their compassionate mind. And then Bodhisattva, if they can get to the point to achieve the great compassionate lightness and ease, then they can further advance their practice thereafter. Remember that there are 10 stages of Muni, right? And the last point for this practice is the illusory contemplator is different from the illusion. You realize that the contemplator, illusory contemplator, is different from the object, illusory object, and the illusory contemplation. Even the method you are using are also illusory. You know they are different, but you know that they all are illusions. Here we have contemplator, use and method, object as illusion, as a practice, as a contemplation. You know that these three are doing contemplation practice. They are different, but they are all illusory. And it's like, you know, when all illusions are permanently left behind, Bodhisattva's wandering acts are likened to the seeds sprouting from the soil. That means the mind is like the soil ground that is unmoved, solid ground that is unmoved. But at the same time, the soil, unmoving mind, has a function to grow. So you need to cultivate wisdom. So here is subjectivity, objectivity, and Dharma. They are all illusion, but they are the magic for you to manipulate to help sentient beings. Okay, that's the second level, the practice of samadhi. The Shifu explained that samadhi means equally uphold. Time is it. The mind is in a state of stillness, and at the same time, it has the function to interact with the illusory world, performing illusory manifestation with compassion to help sentient beings. You know, for me, it's like usually we are in a dream, so we use practice to wake up from the dream. Right now is you wake up from the dream, you know this is a dream, but you need to enter into sentient beings' dream. You enter people's dream and try to play magic, illusory magic, because it's in the dream. Of course, it's illusory magic. Try to perform illusory magic in sentient beings' mind and try to help them to wake up. At the same time, your mind still uphold the samatha and wisdom. You will not dilute it in people's mind. So here, you know, in daily life, sometimes you're good and you try to help people, but the problem is you are trapped by people's problem and it becomes vexation for yourself. That's not equally upheld. You have the wisdom, you have the right view, you try to help people, you play some magic to try to help people, but you know the scenario of that people is illusory, the magic is illusory, you won't trap into the illusory. That's the practice of samadhi. Okay, dhyana, the most direct and most high level, most difficult ones. That, you know, again, point to the final destiny. Then at this, if you want to practice dhyana, then no grasping on illusory projection, nor the marks of purity. That means, you know, you don't have the problem from the samatha and you don't have that problem from samabhadi. Okay. And we also talk about, you remember the bodhisattva pure wisdom. There are levels of practice that they have different problems, right? Right now, you don't have that problem. You don't grasping things outside. You don't grasping the purity inside. And then seeing next, you seeing through, this is very important but difficult sentence. Seeing through the hindrance of body and mind. The illuminations not influenced by the hindrance of body sensation and mind awareness. Because once we have body sensation and mind awareness, then we have the hindrance. We cannot see the true nature. In other words, the illumination to complete enlightenment is beyond body sensation and beyond mind awareness through the symbol, the language, the mundane concept and idea and view. All of them need to transcend. So forever, next forever, transcend the realm of hindrance and no hindrance. We even need to overcome the so-called hindrance and no hindrance. While this world and body and mind are still exist in the phenomenal realm. So it's not like, our heart. Let's get out of here, extinguish the body and mind and then attain liberation. And they do not come back to this mundane world anymore. But here, Diana is, you still exist in this phenomenal realm, but you transcend all the mundane phenomena and even transcend the things that it's not mundane, super mundane and mundane. Transcend all at the same time, and you still have the illumination wisdom. Okay, here. The analogy to explain this practice is just like an instrument, means our body and mind here. Here, and when you hit the instrument, the sound, the wisdom manifests, and the sound can be transmitted far out while the instrument still here. So we still have our body and mind in this mundane world, but our wisdom can transmit it in 10 directions everywhere. And our vexed mind and body and the Buddhahood, the Nirvana, will not get stuck with each other. No conflict, because they are the same, okay? So that's what Buddha said, the sudden practice, dhyana. Okay, I run out of time, I have to go quickly. Whether Sifu said that, how to practice this, whether our minds are scattered, one-pointed, or unified, does not matter. They are still impure. They are all impure minds. Only when there is no mind, no self-centeredness, can the mind be stayed to be pure. In other words, no matter what method you use, directly to the no mind stage. And yet we must use our body, mental activity, and our eternal environment to practice in order to achieve different levels of attainment. However, to attain the highest levels of enlightenment, we must leave it all behind. All the body's sensation, mental activity, all the concepts, idea, view, good and bad, and environment, we have to leave it behind, not attached to it, but you exist with it. Okay, next 1 minute. Bodhisattva of sound discernment, our Sifu did not explain, because he thinks that this, if it's written in a book and people read it, they will misuse the content, because basically the question is how to use these three methods, how to combine these three methods to help different people with different capacity. But that needs a very experienced teacher to guide the practitioners. You cannot just read the book and practice by yourself. And basically, it's like you have these three main methods, right? You can use just only samatha or only samatha or only dhyana. And you can use samatha with samabadi, any of the two. And you can use three altogether. And you can use different sequence of samatha first and later samabadi, or you can use first samabadi and later samatha, and so on and so forth. And different combination of these three, it will generate 25 methods that really need experienced teacher to guide you to how to use it. But in the previous chapter, the Buddha explained in detail about this, how to practice these three methods are the foundation for all the methods that we practiced in the Buddhist community. And okay, so I've stopped here now. Next, I will explain, we practice very hard, but why we cannot attend anything or get progress. And that's because the next two questions, the hindrance that we will have. So the Bodhisattva, two Bodhisattva asked the question for us, and I will share next week. Okay, I'll stop here.
Thank you, Fashi. We still have some time left for questions. So if you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. Okay, I see Qing. Feel free to unmute. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Venerable. Great Dharma talk. Always learn a lot from you. I have a question, but need to pull your slide up. One of the slide, I think, is talking about, I'm trying to, it's the one that talk about right before your diagram on 10 faith, 10 abiding. It says the four items. It says do not make discrimination amidst illusionary existence. And then the next one say, do not seek the true reality with non-discriminated mind. And I'm a little bit confused on the last one when it says, do not seek the true reality with non-discriminative mind. I thought that you need to use non-discriminative mind to seek true reality. So I might have misunderstood what you said.
There is a verse, this is from the Yongjia, Master Yongjia's Enlightenment verses. The very first sentence is saying that,不求什么？不求真。
不除妄想，不求真。
不除妄想，不求真。That's what exactly it's talking about here. Yongjiang is don't try to get rid of the wandering thought, and don't try to seek the true mind, true reality. Is once you want to get rid of anything, you have self. Once you want to seek something, you have the self, the concept, notion of self. Yeah.
Okay. In the blink of a second, I kind of realized what it is. Okay, thank you. I think you answered my.
It's very high level.
Yes, it is. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks. Next question, Larry.
Hi, just want to say thank you for all the wonderful teaching. I do have a question about the teacher. Is it important to get a teacher to have a one-on-one interaction, or can I just attend classes like this one, the Sunday morning class, where I just mostly do listening?
No, you need listening to the Dharma is like, you know, hearing, and most of the people through hearing Dharma, it's at the knowledge level. But there are few people they can get enlightenment just through reading or hearing, but not our capacity. So just hearing get some idea is you will find that it's not that powerful. When you have vexations, you're still attached to the mundane world. We need to really see the subtle minds deeper and deeper in order to see the illusory. Because like I explained to you that they are all illusory, but for you, you don't have the direct experience of the illusion. And in the daily life, you still operate yourself, treated everything are real. So you need a you know, at least for different levels, you can find different teacher to guide you to practice. Practice is very important to get a direct experience. Otherwise, a lot of people will think that they are enlightened, but they actually not at all. You cannot bypass the practice part.
Yes, Larry, does that address your question? Okay, I think that's good.
Sorry, just a follow-up. So what is the best way to get a personal teacher?
Well, all the so-called Orthodox, all the temples are from Orthodox lineage. Usually they teach their methods from their lineage. Once they are Orthodox, all the methods are good. So you can check out like us, like there are Theravada, Tibetan, Mahayana, Japanese, Korean. There are many temples with different lineage that you can find teachers. Of course, you are welcome to our center as well. Yeah, we are best.
So I'm supposed to send email to the Chan Center to ask for a teacher. Is that the best way?
Yeah, and then check our website. Once we open, you can come to our center. You can practice from the beginner's meditation class first, and then advance your practice.
Got it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.